it. I haven't gotten it all together, but I am starting a patio space garden area here outside. And I'm going to scoot this down just a little bit. I want to kind of walk you through some options. This is the week one of the gardening challenge. So, if you want to become a new gardener, I am going to, y'all forgive me for, I've been out here feeling raised beds. But if you want to become a new gardener, this is the week one of the gardening challenge. So, this is Valentine's Day, February the 14th. And I am prepping a new garden space for growing for this year. I have done some vertical growing out here last year, but my new book, Tend, Tend, it's an Amazon bestseller. Yay! It talks about the superpower of gardening as self care. And in the book, I teach you step by step how to start a garden and why gardening is great for your mental health. So I kind of merged the soil and the science together, but it's not sciencey. But anyways, but what I want to do, I want to inspire 1,000 people to start a garden. And so, with that being said, I want to walk you through week by week. If you want to garden and you're like, hey, I'm a little nervous about doing this, and you wish that you had a buddy or a planting pal to kind of do the journey with you, then I'm going to be your planting pal. We will walk through together. I started up at the top. I don't know that you can see it, but I started up at the top at a 15 by 15 raised bed that's at the top of our yard almost 4 years ago. This is going into year four. And I fell in love with gardening. And since I have expanded, I garden on about 3/4 of an acre across the street. But I get a lot of people who have watched me throughout the years on Facebook, and people have inboxed me and they've been super excited about starting gardening and they want me to teach them. I've had people in other states want me to teach them. And so I ended up writing a book just because of the benefits that I got from gardening and that are scientifically proven. I am a licensed therapist and I don't suffer from mental illness. We all have mental health, we all don't have mental illness. And I do not suffer from mental illness at this time. However, whenever I began gardening, it gave just a release and a reset and a recalibration that I didn't even know that I needed. And with that being said, I don't want to spend too much talking about that. I want to get to the week one challenge. So if you want to start gardening, there's a couple of things that you have to do. Number one, it's cloudy outside, but you need to spend some time in your potential space and you need to look at how your sun flows over your space. You know, most of us know the sun rises in the east, it sets in the west, but many of us don't know which way is north, south, east, and west on our own property. Most veggies and fruits need about 6 hours. They say 6 to 8 hours of sun every day. So, the first thing you need to do if you want to garden, you need to come outside and you kind of need to track your sun. Now, we're going into spring and we're past solstice time. Am I saying that right? But we're past that time. And so now your sun should be moving to the direction that it is going to track during the spring and summer time. So what you do is you come outside and you see where your sun rises in the morning and you see if that space that you have, you want to see when the sun hits your space, track it to see if you have 6 to 8 hours of sun hitting your space during that day. So if you're on a balcony, if you just have a small patio area, if you have a covered patio, it may be better to bring whatever growing method you want to off of your covered patio out into maybe a grass or even concrete or anything like that. I am going to tell you a special way that you can grow that I did not put in the book. And I'm going to let you know about that today. And it is called Garden Socks, GardenSoxx. Garden socks are also available if you're like, Shelly, I only have concrete. I don't have any yard. I only have a ledge. A garden sock, you don't have to worry about weeding. You don't have to worry about any of those things. You can fill a garden sock up with soil and you cut the holes. They kind of give you the planting space that you need for what you want to plant. I do have some of those. I've grown in a couple of those. So I've pretty much grown every method, even hydroponically. I grow indoors as well, but I've grown on every method that you can grow in the last 3.5 years. And I've been really successful in doing it. People are like, you have a green thumb, you have a green thumb. No, I ended up understanding the science of the soil and how to grow and how plants want to grow. And so, the first thing, if you're joining us for the challenge, if you want to garden, I want to inspire 1,000 people to start gardening. And so, if you want to start gardening, the first thing you need to do is go outside and track your sun wherever your plot, wherever the area is that you want to garden. So, because I really have not ever gardened except last year on my patio, this year I'm going to run a garden on my patio. I'm challenging myself to grow a year's worth of food for one person, myself, just to see if I can do it for the veggies and stuff and the fruits that I eat. And I have a little motto that says, eat what you grow. So I am going to try to grow a year's worth of food, and I am going to try to eat the year's worth of food or preserve it, all the things, just because I want to learn that skill in case if I ever need it. However, you don't have to do that. But I wanted to use the patio as a small space garden area so that you can see that you can grow a lot in a small space area. In my book 10, I tell you a acronym, it's a pretty cool acronym on how to remember the different type of growing methods that you have. And one of the ones that, well, three of them I'm going to talk about today. I gave you the freebie of the garden socks, but that's not one of the three. So one way, if you just want to get started, you're like, Shelly, I don't know that I can do this. That what you have or what you're showing looks overwhelming. You're not building the calm that you crave for you. I mean, for me, you're building it for you. So if 3 or 4 raised beds or vertical planters seem overwhelming, you can start with just a pot. So you do not have to have raised beds or vertical planters. You don't have to garden in ground or any of those things. You can start with a simple pot. I'm going to grab a pot that I am going to repot today. I grew garlic in it last year. I don't want to use that same soil because I'm going to start 3 onion starts in it this year. And I want you to see what I do to just start in a pot. So if you want to start gardening in a pot and you're like, hey, this is something I think I want to do, but I just have a small space, maybe a chair. And I'm going to show you a little scenario of where you could just have a small garden plot right by you. If you have that 6 to 8 hours of sun, especially if you're going to grow vegetables and or flowers. I also grow flowers. I grow tons of flowers, and I give away about 200 bouquets a year for free just because I want to spread the joy of gardening. I grow gladness, and so I want to spread that. So we're gonna move over here. I don't have it where it's following me directionally. I'm going to show you how to fill a raised bed if you want to do a raised bed. But if you just had, like right here, this is just a fire pit, okay? So I'm going to lower this some so you can see me. I hope I don't jolt you when I do it. But imagine my door is not there, or if your door was there, then I have a chair on this side that sometimes I just come out and sit on. My water source is right there. So you can see the water sources right there. You still see the snow there. You see my vertical planters. I got snow still over there. But if you want it, say if you want it to grow outside just in a small space and this was coming off your patio, you had 6 to 8 hours of sun. I do not have 6 to 8 hours of sun because of the overhang right here. That's okay. The reason that I put that bed there is because I know I want to put strawberries in it. And at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, my sun hits right here. And then it sets over on this side. So from about 2 to 8 or 9 o'clock at night, I will have sun that is setting, so it's not as harsh. And strawberries like sun, but they don't want to be scorched in sun. So I have some strawberries over here that I'm going to plant some strawberries over here, and I want them to have shade from the morning noonday heat. And then when the heat, when it comes over later during the day, when the sun comes over later during the day, I'm okay for it to get the sun as it sets because I know that's going to be the best scenario for the strawberries. And if for some reason I feel like they need more sun, my beds are on wheels. I can roll it out and let them get some more sun. But I'm going to tuck them away because I made the mistake a few years ago of my vertical planters were full of strawberries, and I had them in full sun, just full open sun. They were getting about 10, 12 hours of sun a day, and I had probably about 100 strawberry plants that just died. I think maybe three made it, and they were three that were turned toward the shade. So they were turned toward like the north end of the property where the sun didn't really get to them. So I learned a big lesson that day. Well, that year. And so, anyways, you make mistakes in gardening, and you have to understand, like I said, the soil. You have to understand some of the science, but you have to understand your plant's personality. So that's one of the biggest things. Whenever we talk about what do you want to grow, you need to know, does that plant like full sun? That's 6 to 8 hours a day. Does it like partial sun or partial shade? So that means you'll give about 4 hours of sun a day. Or does it like full shade? So like a hosta likes full shade. It can tolerate some sun, but not a lot. And so you just have to know what your plant likes, the plant's personality, and make sure that you're planting the plant in the conditions that it needs to grow in. But back to this, if you just wanted to start small, you don't have to have a big seating patio area. If you're on a balcony, then you could have a table. Right now, this is a fireplace, and I have a small grill whenever we don't want to pull out our big egg or whatever it is. So we have a small grill that we set up on top of there if I just want to cook like a hamburger or something. And then I have a chair. So I could have my chair. I'm going to repot this pot. If you just wanted to grow in pots, I did not take these out so that I could do this video, but this was garlic that I grew last year. And I started to pull it before the winter came, and I didn't because I thought it'd be a great example for this year about how I would repot and change things. But you could have whatever you want to grow. You can grow tomatoes in pots. You can grow peppers in pots. You can grow all the things. So however you want to organize it, but you could have your pot on this side of you. You could have your pots on a table. You could have your pots on some type of elevated stands. But the idea is to create a spot where you can sit and you can enjoy what you're growing. So I call it in the book, creating the calm that you crave. So whether you know it or not, just sitting among plants for 10 minutes actually helps to regulate your nervous system, and it has mental health benefits that actually last for hours and days. So anyways, that's my mental health plug because I'm a mental health advocate. So that's my mental health plug. So what we'll do here is I'm going to show you how I would repot and plant in a pot. And because it's February, it's Valentine's Day. Really the only thing, I'm in a zone 7A. We'll talk about zones next week. But if you want to go ahead and look up your zone, that's something you can do on the USDA website. But the first thing I want you to do is I want you to track your sun. I want you to look at maybe where you want to grow and see if there's a area, if that area where you want to grow veggies, especially if we're talking veggies, flowers, herbs, does it get 6 to 8 hours of sun a day? And if so, now you can organize your space and you can grow in pots. The first year that I grew, I put tomato plants in the soil. I planted them on Mother's Day. I think it was like May 15th or something that year. And my friend who had been gardening for years, I was so excited. The plants had grew just a little bit. And I was like, come see my plants. It was like the second or third, I think the second week of June. So they had been in the ground a month. And my friend came by to see my plants, and he was like, Shelly, I think that your soil's not good, because he said, I planted some tomatoes the week after you. He said, and my tomato plants are, almost waist high. They were over his knee. And I was like, what? And that was so discouraging. I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? And so I went back to the drawing board, and I began to research planting in pots. And it wasn't that common back then. But I found a few videos, and I was like, okay, I understand this, the drainage, the soil. I understand the conditions that the plant needs to grow in. So I immediately, I left the corn in, but I got some other, I got like some totes, and I put holes in the bottom of those, some totes I had in the house. I drilled holes in those. I put a bunch of soil in, Some guy was selling a bunch of pots on Marketplace, like $10 for 20 pots. This is one of those pots from that year. So he had some big pots, and I moved all my tomatoes, my pepper plants, everything that I was growing, zucchini, everything, watermelon. I moved it either to pots or I ordered grow bags. And guess what? Everything thrived and it grew. So you can grow in pots. It was a lot more watering that I know to have the irrigation set up. But anyways, you can grow in pots. So let's repot this so that you can see how do you get started growing in pots. So what I'm going to do is I don't waste soil. And because I still need to fill this bed right here, this is a bed that I'm going to grow in this year. I'm going to pull this garlic out. It has just basically turned. It has turned. You can still see some of it. Hold on. You can see some of it where it's deteriorating. But I can throw that in here too. It's just organic matter. So it'll end up being compost. You can still smell it. And then I'm going to dump this in this bed. And I'll break this apart. I have, in this bed, I have sticks and leaves that I raked up out of the yard. It's a hugelkultur method because I didn't want to have to use a ton of soil. And then after that, I have about 6 bags of just a average. I'm not going to put all these roots in there, but I have about 6 bags of an average potting mix in there. And then I'm going to fill it up with Happy Frog the rest of the way to fill it to the brim. Now this, I have drainage hose. I didn't buy that. This was one of those 20 pots to that guy. So he actually got it from the dollar store for $8. Sold me 20 of them for 10. So drainage hose in the bottom. Then we're going to pour some soil in it. Let me grab the soil. We're going to put some soil in this pot. And then the rest of the soil that we don't use, we're going to pour in this bed. So let me see if I can pick this up. This is 2 cubic feet of soil. It's a lot of soil. Here we go. This is Happy Frog soil, some of the best organic soil that's out there. There we are. Now, I'm going to plant 3 onion plants in here. What I do is I give it a little fertilizer. I'm going to put the plants, the starts in here, the onion starts. I'm going to water them in, and then we're going to watch them grow. And about June of this year, they're going to be ready. We're going to harvest them, and then we're going to let them kind of harden off a little bit. And after that, we will be storing onions that I will have for the rest of the year. So hold on, let me grab the onions real quick. You can grow onions from seed, but onions are biennials. So it takes about 2 years to grow. So these actually were started last year and they have been growing. And I went to an Omnistore today to get my 60 onion starts because I'm growing a year's worth of food. So I'm going to grow about 60 of these. I do not think I'm going to use 60 onions in a year. But when I did the estimate, it said for one person, you need about 30 to 40. I'm going to do about 60 just in case if some don't bulb up. Okay. Have a little fertilizer. This is organic fertilizer. I'm just going to make me 3 holes. That's all I'm doing, making 3 holes. Drop some fertilizer. Can you see that? 3 holes. Drop some fertilizer. And then I want to put the roots in the ground and a little bit of the white. The roots and just a little bit of the white. I don't want to bury the entire thing. Okay? So I'm put just a little bit of the white. The roots in. A little bit of the whites. The roots in and a little bit of the whites. And that's red. There's no white on that one. So I'm just going to put a little bit. And I bury it right in where that fertilizer is. Now I'm going to water it in gently. Okay, I have a water hose here. No sense in using that. That one flipped, that one went over a little bit. That's okay. I'm just going to reset it. That one went over some. That's okay. I'm going to reset that one. And now we've planted 3 onions. That's simple. So now we just will tend to them. That's an acronym in the book in how to care for your plants. But we will begin to tend to these along the way. But again, look at your plant personality. Look and see what the frequency is of fertilization. I pretty much fertilize. Onions aren't really fussy. So they may not really even need much fertilizer. But I'm going to put them on the same schedule that I fertilize the rest of my veggies, which is about every 2 weeks. So, but I skip these some because they're not real fussy. They're going to, that fertilizer that I gave them plus this organic mix that already has some fertilizer, mycorrhizal product in it. That's going to already help them to grow. But this is how you would grow in pots. So again, if you want to grow in a raised bed, this is a raised bed. This is actually one on wheels. There is leaves in the bottom. There are sticks in the bottom. Then I lined it with leaves. I lined it with sticks. Then I lined it with straw. All of those things will break down to organic matter. And that is about to here, halfway. And then we put about 6 or 8 bags of soil on top of that. And then after that, I will pour 3 or 4 bags of the Foxfarm in these to fill them up the rest of the way. To be able to plant cabbage, my broccoli, tomatoes, peppers. I'll have strawberries in this bed, but I have about 4 of these and a smaller one that I will be planting out here along with my vertical planters. Let me show you the vertical planters really quick. In case if you're like, Shelly, I don't know that I want to do those raised beds. That's okay. Something called a vertical planter. This is a green stalk vertical planter. I've had these for several years. Let me bring you closer. So this is actually mint. This is a form of mint. Look what I did. I had a whole bunch of snow that I put up here because I was like, listen, this can water this baby. And guess what? It's wet as it's melted. I have strawberries in here. I have strawberries in the bottom ones. So all the rest of them are strawberries. The top one is mint and the bottom ones are strawberries. Now, the reason that I put mint up top is because I grow like mojito mint, lemon mint, chocolate mint, strawberry mint, peppermint. I just love to put them in the vases. I love to put them in with the flowers. But the reason that I put it in the top by itself is because mint will take over. So if you want to grow mint in a pot. Like I said, I'm growing it in the vertical planter. I want a lot of it. I'm okay that it's going to take over. I have one on this side and one on this side, and they're going to take over each one of these pockets, and I'm okay with that. But they won't go down to the other pockets. And the rest of my pockets below are strawberries. But I have garlic in some of those. I'll be growing peas in these. I've grown peppers. I grew peppers in them last year. I grew peppers in them the year before. I've grown tomatoes. You can grow anything in a vertical planter. So if you're like, I don't have a lot of space, that's okay. You can purchase a vertical planter. Now, I got this from Greenstalk, but I think the Dollar Tree had some. Now, these are, I think, 9-inch pockets, 7 or 9-inch pockets. They have some smaller ones that are maybe 5-inch. My hand is a 6. So the ones from the Dollar Tree, I've seen them, but I don't own them. But I think they may be a 5-inch. So you just have to be careful because some things like tomatoes, some peppers, sometimes they need about 6 to 9 inches of root to be able to go down and grow in a root. But if you're growing a dwarf tomato, dwarf peppers, I've grown jalapenos in these. Watermelon, I grew mini-me. M-I-N-I-M-E watermelon. I will be growing mini-me watermelon in these again. I will be growing dwarf tomatoes. I'll be growing all the things in these again. And so But they run a sale. They just had a buy one get one, I think, on these. But they run big sales during the winter, fall and winter. But anyways, these are also an option. Are vertical planters. So doesn't take a lot of space. I think it's 2 by 2 foot. That's all the space that this thing takes up, and fully stacked. One, two, three, four, five, six. So you have 30 pockets fully stacked. I only have mine 4 high that sit here because I want to be able to see. I want people to be able to see whenever we're out here sitting. I don't want real big tall things. But this is where you start. So week 1 challenge, if you want to start gardening, number 1, I want you to track your sun. Number 2, pick a method. If you're not sure of all the methods, you can Google it. You can pick up my book right now, Amazon bestseller. It's called Tend, Tend. My name is Shelly Cheers, Cheirs, like the people you don't want to hear from, the IRS. And so, Shelly Cheers, you can go to Amazon. You can pick it up right now. And I teach you all the different growing methods. The hardest one that I've ever grown in is in ground, the hardest one. So I grew up here in my own spot in ground when I first started. And last year, not only for my space, but I tended to 2 other gardens. One, I was expanding, trying to do a bunch of dahlias and trying to grow 25 different tomato plant varieties at a community garden in town. And I had about 600 square feet there. It was horrible. The weeding is horrible in ground. So I teach you how to garden. If you want to grow in ground, all these principles apply, but you will probably not see me growing in ground. So that's not something that I enjoy. Maybe putting some watermelon or something, but I would definitely have down some landscape fabric and some different things. And I had to go back and do landscape fabric last year. I had about 200 dahlias. We had a horrible spring. And so this is a disadvantage of in ground if you're thinking about it. We had tons of rain. I had the dahlias in the ground during the right time, and I lost probably all but about 25 of those. So that was a very expensive lesson because the water just sits where the water still drains. So that's one of the benefits that I love about growing in containers or raised beds is the water drains. It doesn't just sit and get logged, but at some point the ground can only hold so much water until it has a chance to get rid of it. So I lost a lot of dahlias last year. So that was another disadvantage about growing in the ground. It's just drainage, and it was great ground. The people actually have a product that they sell nationally, and so they let people in our community have gardening space. And that was my first year growing there, but it was horrible when all the rain came. We just had an unseasonably large amount of rain, and so a lot of people's vegetables they were slow to grow because there was so much water in the ground. But anyways, okay, so follow me on Facebook, Shelly Cheers. I think it says LPCC. That's the 10 site where I'm talking about gardening. I'm a gardening enthusiast, and I'm going to walk you through every week on how to garden. If you want to start a garden, call your friends. If your friends want to start a garden, call them. I'm going to tell you how to do it. I don't care. I want to teach you for free. I do not care. You do not have to buy a course. You can hit me up if you have questions. I can tell you all the places to get seeds. In fact, if you buy my book, you'll go see. If you purchase the book and you want to start and you don't have garden seeds or anything and you're balling on a budget or something, I totally get it, but I want you to start. I will mail you free seeds to start your garden. So I will mail you up to 10 packs of seeds if you want to get started, because I want you to garden. I want you to garden. If you got to choose, do I get a book? Do I get all this stuff? I understand seeds can be expensive. They're about $3.99 or better a pack right now. And so I was fortunate enough to get about 500 seeds for less than 40 bucks. So I've bought seeds that I want to give away to people who want to garden because I want you to know the benefits of gardening. So that's it. Until next week, I will be posting whenever I'm going live. And because I am such a just fly by the seat of my pants person, ADHD part of me, I will just be like, hey, I'm going live now. So I'm not going to commit to any times because I just can't the way that my life goes. So I will just go live once a week and we will be walking through how to garden. The next thing that we're going to go through is growing zones. your garden time, how to build a calendar, and starting seeds. So I will be posting and talking about that next week. And then we will be moving to the next week, March. We'll be moving to starting all of our like brassicas and getting those things out, depending on where your zone is. So I'm zone 7A. So if you're zone like 6, 5, 6, 7, 8, we're all kind of in this together. But if you start maybe 5A, maybe 5B, you're still with us. But definitely 6, 7, 8, we're all kind of in this together. In our window, I have about 200 growing days. But when you get to zone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, y'all have very short growing season. So you'll want to watch, get things going, maybe go out and get some seedlings now and get those things in the ground now, because now you're kicking off your growing season right now. My spring does not start until March 20th. We have 34 days till spring, and I'm excited about it. And spring is just kind of the time whenever you know that frost is about to end. But my last frost is not until around April the 10th, but that's okay. I'm a risk taker. I'm going to push it. So anyways, see y'all later. Thanks for joining me. I hope you learned something. Tell your friends that are interested in gardening to check me out. I'm going to teach you for free. And if for some reason you are inspired to garden, please comment, because I want to count you in that number of people. I want to inspire 1,000 people to garden. And on my website, I'm not going to put that stuff and all that out there, but on my website, people can sign up to say if they were inspired to garden through me. But my goal, my mission is to inspire 1,000 people to start gardening, because I want you to know the joy of gardening. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye-bye.